Well, it is 5 o'clock and we do have a quorum.
Great.
First, on the minutes, I want to thank Carrie. She's had a very, very busy month plus. So I really appreciate you working overtime to get those
Well,
minutes
I'm
out.
sorry they were so late.
That's all right. I understand.
You put in your time, it's amazing.
Yes. So thank you very much. So everybody had a chance to peruse them very quickly, I guess. Do we have any comments, questions?
Oh, I had just got a hard copy of the agenda.
Okay. All right, if there are no comments or questions, do I hear a motion to approve them?
Right, so those are,
And do we have a second?
I always give them, I want to give them another.
All right.
Before I.
We'll take a minute just to take a look at it. Okay, good. Oh, that was a trip. You don't hear me.
He's reading. Don't disturb him.
Motion, do we hear, have
I
a
can
second?
second.
Okay, we have a second. All right, Lindsay, oh, you vote, you're in. Peter?
I'm actually, ex officio, so
Well,
He doesn't vote.
he doesn't vote, but Tom, obviously,
yes,
and I'm a yes,
Yes,
so we're approved for that.
And I can just comment, Carrie, there was a lot of discussion last meeting, so thank you.
you're welcome. It was a beast of a meeting.
Okay, next on, I put the housing survey again, but again, unfortunately, Susan is not here, but you were gonna work with her on it.
I have updated the data online for all of the survey outcomes. I also have the hard copies from Susan. Unfortunately, the way I put the data in, since I couldn't enter each, I couldn't do it all each as a response to the survey. It doesn't show up in the graphs, but I can talk through the results if that would be helpful.
Sure, absolutely. How many surveys?
So total for the current island residents, we have 23 responses. I would say it's about split 50-50 between people who want to rent or people who want to buy something outright. That most folks were looking for 2 or 3 bedrooms rather than, or said that they would prefer 2 or 3 bedrooms versus 1 or 2 bedrooms. And most of them were just usually spouses or living alone. Sometimes there were children in the house, but there wasn't a lot of answers in terms of who else would live with you. The range of employment that people have was really broad. Everything from, there were a few retired folks, property management, teachers, landscaping, Tarantine Club, sort of administrative and community work. There were a bunch of different carpenters and gardening, those sorts of things. It felt like most people who have housing felt like it is affordable, but that there were definitely some folks who are paying more than they can afford. The range of what people are paying for their housing ranges from some folks who are paying like $580 a month, and that's just their property taxes, up to $2,500 a month. With most people sort of being in the 1,000 to 1,200-ish range, if we were putting sort of a median on it. Some people have sort of support for work, and sort of, or from their work for their housing, but for the most part, if people felt like their home wasn't affordable, they felt like it was more like like between $800 and $1,000 would be affordable versus what they're paying. And the range of how much people are paying, how much of their income people are paying for housing really varies. There are a few folks who said they're paying over 40% of their income for housing. Most folks, I think, are paying 20 to 30% of their income on housing. There are a decent number, though, who responded with paying 30 to 40% of their income on housing. And I really wish the pie chart was taking in all of the results so I could just show it to you. But I'm happy to send around the spreadsheet. And luckily, almost everybody said they have adequate heat. There's only one person who responded who said they don't have enough heat and they live in a seasonal place that does not work. But everybody else's heat, they can stay warm. Whether or not they can afford their heat is a different question. But
Yeah, those rent figures were just rent. They weren't rent and utilities.
not rent and utility, it was mortgage and taxes or rent. It wasn't your total cost of your home. So some of the folks, like a few of the retired folks said things like, if I didn't own my home, I couldn't pay, I wouldn't be able to, like, if I didn't own it outright, I couldn't pay for the taxes plus the mortgage on my retirement. There are a couple people who would like to be in smaller homes and downsize. Some people would like to be in something bigger so that their family can grow. But like I said, there wasn't as much interest in the very small homes as we thought there might have been. And it didn't seem like everybody who responded to the survey was actually looking for moving or changing their housing. Some people were just like responding with data like, this is my housing situation, or fine. And we have a lot of people who would like to win the ferry ticket, though. And so people did actually, there was a decent number of people who did share their name and contact information.
Okay.
So I think it's interesting that there are a few people who said they'd like an apartment, but almost everybody said they would like to be, well, actually, more people said house, then a decent number of people said either house or apartment, and just a couple people said apartment. One person said apartment. And yeah, the income ranges, if you go off what people say is the portion of their income they're paying for their housing, and then what that housing cost is, we have a wide range of incomes that are represented in the survey. So that's also interesting. And that would be worth, I think, digging into a little bit in terms of this affordability question, even though it's a very small sample.
Did we get anything from an off-island survey?
I have 4 here that are off-island surveys. I don't know, Lindsay, I didn't get the link to yours, so I don't know how many online ones.
I had 0 show up online for the scanning the QR code on the ferry, which was surprising.
Oh, okay. One person said, what appeals to you about living on Islesboro? Nothing.
Nope.
I work in a boatyard. I don't need anything. One person said that being close to work would be appealing. They've living and work on Islesboro for a couple of years was more appealing than permanently moving. They pay $1,000 a month for a 3-bedroom, and they think that cost is too high. And there's 5 of them.
And that's on the mainland they're renting now?
Yeah, on the mainland. And then, but the reasons if they've decided not to live here, the reasons for not doing so, housing costs, they circled all of them. Housing, taxes, ferry, inconvenience of the ferry, lack of theaters and movie, lack of restaurant, lack of bar, lack of shopping.
They don't.
All the reasons. They don't want, yeah.
They wouldn't work, they wouldn't make it here.
The appeal would be living close to work. They pay $600 a month. That's not too, my current situation is affordable. They work at PYY. Their wife would not live here. And then they circled almost all of the reasons except for movie theaters. And then the appeal for living on Islesboro would be community and how friendly it is. If they would like to retire here. And their current housing though is only $1,100 a month and they find that to be affordable. They do healthcare work and their partner does banking. But the inconvenience of the ferry, the lack of restaurants and the lack of shopping would be particular.
How many of those did you have?
4.
4.
Just 4.
So it's very important to note that this was a non-representative survey. I mean, it was a
Yes, there was only 4
tiny
people.
portion.
But also, I know that there were other attempts to get people to respond to the survey and people didn't even want to do that. So I don't know, it might be actually very representative of the people who work out here but don't live here, that they don't want to live out here. I don't know.
I know Susan had said that she got, when she went to the ferry landing, that she got a total lack of interest in filling one out. So
Yeah.
that is
And when
telling unto itself.
was that? And at what time of the day was that?
She went down first thing in the morning,
I think.
so she probably got, she's not here, so I can't ask, but I got the impression that she was waiting for the 8 o'clock to get over here. And there was very little interest, so. Ray who works at Boardman Cottage had taken a bunch with him and tried to hand them out on his way home one day and got no response, so.
I see.
So, that to a certain degree, as Kate said, with those 4 is somewhat telling. I mean, even though it doesn't give us any data to deal with it, the fact that people who are working here are not interested in filling out a survey is somewhat telling, so.
Yeah, and it seemed like it was a lot of the factors of island life. Like just the island life. It's not just that our housing is too high or that we don't have, a restaurant.
Okay, well, and that, in certain quarters, that's a very important thing to know, so.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So nobody who responded to the survey said anything about having children, school-age children, I take it.
No. The one of the respondents has 5 people in their family, so I assume that includes children. But and they currently live in a 3-bedroom house, but
You don't know.
don't know.
Okay.
Well, all right, so you will take what you have and try to,
Yeah,
and then pass that around and,
I'll see if I can create some kind of summary.
yeah, and give everybody an opportunity to kind of mull it over and see what we want to do with it. I mean, while it's modest at best, it is what we have. So we ought to let people know about it. Any other input or questions on the survey? Okay. then we'll move on to the next one. As you know, and Emily McCarthy from Island Institute joined our last meeting.
Sorry, Michael, one last question about the survey. How do we want to go ahead selecting raffle recipients?
I think we just, you've got the data, throw the names in a bowl and have an uninterested party pick out how many we had, what did we say, 2, 3?
Okay, I feel like we should have at least a couple of us do it, so it doesn't seem like it's favored.
Yeah,
Oh, and one other question, back and forth, we've talked about surveying the school population too, and whatever happened was that we were successful in that,
Mm,
the staff.
Yeah, it doesn't, there were a couple teachers who responded to the survey. It doesn't look like a whole bunch of teachers did.
it wasn't a school only kind of a thing.
Mhm.
I mean, they were given the survey.
They were,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
Okay,
Mhm.
There is a sort of concomitant, let's say, associated issue, which is there are several openings, 4 or 5 openings for teachers in the school. The principal, as you know, Kate Laguerre, is stepping down, and we're searching for a new principal. Presumably, most or all of those people are going to have a place to live. So they may not even know who they are yet, but that doesn't necessarily mean there's no demand.
Can
I
I
mean,
jump in super quick? Oh, sorry, Peter.
it's all very well to go to the ferry landing and ask if anybody wants to live on Islesboro, but there are clearly a number of people who need to find housing, and they weren't actually, for no fault of the surveyors or anybody else, they were not part of the survey.
yeah, I mean, they're almost in a group that you wouldn't know how to survey them. Um,
Well,
uh,
That's
I know
true.
the school was
Michael.
contacted, if they, I guess I have to probably ask Susan to see if, the school was offered the opportunity to give a survey to potential applicants, but I don't know exactly how they do that, because I don't know what they're doing in regards to advertising, for the openings.
Well, it's too bad Jennifer is not on this call
Yeah.
yet. That's the best way to access that. But I think it is not only a critical issue for the prospective candidates, but it relates very specifically to what the potential demand might be. Anyway,
Yeah, well, I agree with you that there are, I've heard the
chicken
number
and egg
5.
situation.
Yeah, I've heard the number 5 thrown around. So Lindsay, you had a comment?
Yeah, there's a new family that reached out and they're moving here from Spain and they have no ties to the island whatsoever. They just like the island and they're moving across the world to live here.
Mm.
So I'd be interested to kind of chat with them more once they arrive and see what was their draw. Why are they here? Because that seems like a drastic move to come here in kind of like a housing crisis. Like I'm curious where they're going to live. Did they buy? Are they renting from someone? That sort of thing. So it'd be interesting to get that feedback from them. They should be here early June. And I plan to connect with the mother. She has 2 school-age children that she'll be bringing as well, preschool and ICS aged children. So that'll be interesting to hear their feedback. I think might be helpful.
So they don't have a house lined up, Lindsay?
She didn't say on our call. It was more just like exploratory. Wait just a minute. But I'd be interested. She said that they're just driving up to move, so they clearly have housing available. It just didn't come up naturally in our conversation for me to be like, and where are you living? But I feel like once we maybe start chatting, that will come up, and it might give some good insight into kind of what's going on.
Good.
Okay. Okay, whoa, all right. All right, and Peter, with what you brought up, I'll reach out to Jennifer, and ask if there is a way that we could, at least, maybe, talk to them about how they're reaching out to potential candidates and, if they'd be willing to answer questions relative to the housing issue.
Great.
Just a quick thought on that. I mean, the potential need for housing for new teachers is, it feels important. And I don't know what we can do in the very short term about it, but I'm not sure that if we're looking at sort of the overall, if the survey was trying to get us information on sort of overall trends, I feel like the school going through a hiring expansion right now is a one-time thing as opposed to something that we want to be planning for in general. So I feel like the information from the school about the prospective teachers is great to have, but I don't feel like it's essential in terms of like the long-term trends.
Well, yes, I respectfully would just say there's a equally important and critical matter of attracting more students to the school. And I just attended a school board meeting in which there was a lot of discussion about how to attract more magnet students. But clearly, longer term, the question is how to attract young families to the island. And so I mean, I'm trying to be very cognizant and humble about, because I'm new to this and I don't know everything, but it seems to me that there is a real demand, not from necessarily from the people who are looking for housing, but there's a demand based on the sustainability of Islesboro and its community to create a situation in which is attractive to potential new residents. And so it's like a marketing problem more than a question of identifying who right now knows they want to move to Islesboro.
Yep.
We need to be aggressively trying to attract people, not merely asking people who've already been attracted what they want.
Okay, and, the point that you brought up, actually, Tom had given Jennifer, well, that was a meeting we had about 2 months ago, a couple of ideas relative to at least school term housing, things that Tom is familiar with from his time at the
What
school.
my wife Sue is familiar with
Yeah.
is that whenever in the past a new teacher comes to town, if you do some detective work, you can often find a house that's never been rented and it's underutilized, and with some personal connections, you can create a new rental. And there are lots of houses here, as we know, that are unoccupied most of the year. Anyway, but that takes detective work. That
Right.
takes going and looking up who owns what and making a connection, making a phone call, finding a contact. It's not easy, but it's doable and has been done repeatedly in the past.
Tom, are you suggesting that that might be a project for the housing committee to work on with the school board once they have interested candidates, that folks here on this committee might play a role in trying to do some of that detective work and outreach?
Well, I hadn't really thought about us being directly involved because it had been strictly a school issue. But yeah, Sue started that. I had this conversation with Jennifer and Sue suggested this partial solution, and I haven't gotten those two together yet. But that is something that we might take on too, if we could enhance enhance the rental stock just by finding things that were underutilized. I'll try to get my wife to make up that list she's been talking about, but it takes some work.
Mhm.
But I'll speak to her.
Okay. All right, and then maybe at our next meeting, we can talk about it and what kind of action plan we think
Mhm.
we can do. Okay, that's a good idea. Okay, so now on to the Island Institute one. Emily McCarthy joined us in the last meeting because, based on an introduction from Shay Conover, we were talking about grant money, to do housing planning. And after spending 3 weeks and gathering tons and tons of data, it did not fly. And it didn't fly not because of Island Institute. It didn't fly because the original grantor of money came back and said, no, their intention was that the money would go towards municipal infrastructure, and they did not deem housing to qualify for that definition.
Hmm.
So, so that got turned down, unfortunately. I think Shay is probably gonna chase it for some other project that meets their definition. Peter did, bring up the line item, in the town budget at a meeting, and then both he and I were at a budget committee meeting a couple of weeks ago where we brought it up again. It was accepted, to put the line item in. Conversation I had earlier this week with some people here in this office, indicated that it was still there, although Peter, you may know more than I do at this point in time as to how much of the original amount is still there.
I think it's intact at the moment.
Okay,
It's very important, Michael, to say this was my idea of how to get a foot in the door. It was $15,000. It's not going to build any houses by itself. But I felt that it was really important that the town, in its municipal budget, supported the affordable housing. And I hope that it will be the beginning of a much larger investment by the public sector. So I have, as far as I know at the moment, it is there. It's not, I don't think, going away. There was a little discussion about it vis-a-vis some budget issues. I think that's gone away. And short answer is, I think we can feel pretty confident about the fact that it will be there, but it's not very much money.
no, it's not, but
I
at least
believe it
it's
got
something.
trimmed a little bit.
Yeah, what I had heard is it was probably down to about 10,000.
I think so.
Well, that's still being argued about, but
Okay, well,
I
I'll leave the arguing to you.
the town budget is over $5 million, and I don't think $5,000 one way or the other is going to be a very contentious issue.
Okay. All right, so we're down there, and we'll see how it goes as the budget gets through the town meeting next month.
Right.
Do you have any, did you want to put together any plan for speaking to the line item in case it does come up for discussion?
I'm gonna rely on, the budget presentation to let me know what they want to do. It may not require anything. If not, we
I
can
doubt
extend.
it. But I will certainly be there. I've promoted this to the other selectmen, and we if it became an issue, which I can't believe it will, as I said, we're talking about a truly trivial amount of money in a much, much larger budget.
I don't
Imagine
think.
who's going to raise an issue about it.
And I think even that description that Jennifer's put together is great to you, and if we,
Yeah.
like, if somebody.
And that was part of the input to the select board as they went through that.
I mean,
Uh,
I would just like to say this was in detail my idea. I am determined to make it happen.
I had a couple of meetings with, Island Institute, Housing Coalition, as well as their Main Islands Coalition, and pushed, a lot of discussion relative to what they can do to lobby the state for money. And the only thing they've got at this point in time is a program that Maine Housing has, which is really geared towards, larger units. You know, 5 to 15 units is where their money is being targeted right now, and we obviously don't have anything that's gonna meet that kind of a volume criteria. So as it stands right now, there really is no money to be going after from the state, which is disappointing, but they will keep us up to date on what they find out. Their housing guru there, who joined Island Institute last, October, I guess it was, resigned last month and went to work for, Lincoln County. So they're without a housing person at this point in time. Their, policy director is kind of stepped in, but, I guess they'll just have to wait till they find somebody else to take that job. I did talk with, again, Emily McCarthy today. And she is, looking through what they think they can do, on projects that they currently are working on. And one of them is community engagement. So I've asked her to tell me what they've got on community engagement, and so that we can discuss it with them to see if that's something that we can use and we can bring, to what we'd like to do. She told me she would get back to me at some time in the next week or so. So, anything else on that topic?
That's disappointing.
It is, especially after I did 2.5 weeks of doing grant-like research to get money, not a lot of money, only to find out that I was barking up the wrong tree. So it was not, I mean, I do understand why we didn't qualify. It would have been nice to know that when they put it on the table. Okay. Anything else on any of that? Okay. I put planning update on there, and the only thing I have relative to that is some work that IAP is doing. And I have another meeting tomorrow on this with portion of the board, getting ready to kick off the campaign on the next set of housing proposals for them. Spent a fair amount of time at the site on Reeve Road, which is just the hair over 6 acres. We have 2 3-bedroom houses and 1 duplex, and based on the walkthrough that we did yesterday, we feel that we could probably put 5 more duplexes on there. I've got a document that I'll review with this group tomorrow that kind of shows them how we'd like to lay it out, although there is more land work, if you would, that has to go on. The section that we're looking at, some of these still needs to have a perk test done, although given everything we've seen, that's fine. We need to do water tests. That land slopes as you get towards the center, as it goes back west, it slopes down. So some of the land that's at the back end of it is probably not buildable because it gets a lot of runoff. I walked it 2 weeks ago, unfortunately, after that big rain we had, plus the 2 wet snows. And my boots were not deep enough to get through the whole thing, so there is a
Thought it is worse.
yeah, you know, I mean, when I was over yesterday, Silas was there, moving a lot of dirt around, so, you know, maybe there's something that can be done, that will make it a little bit better, but without a doubt, we saw that there was room for, we've already laid out where the next duplex would go, and there's definitely room for 4 more. And a road, it would be a circular road that would go in and back out again. So,
And those are all 2-bedroom, 1 bath.
2-1. We at one time talked about 1 bedroom, and I'm glad we didn't go that way, given what you just said. So, I mean, I think there's probably a demand on part of the population for 1 bedroom, but, we had originally looked at quad as the next building. And what we discovered is that state building regulation requires a sprinkler system in a quadruplex. And so then we looked at what it would take to put a sprinkler system in out here. And since we're on well, it would require a separate water source, a retention pond, et cetera. So the price started to go way up. We then got a little bit of word that on the island, we may not have to go to the letter of the state building requirement. So we got kind of happy again, and then we discovered that had we decided to go that way and we built one, we probably couldn't get it insured because the state insurance requirements are based off of building codes. So we went back to the duplexes. We think just doing the duplexes. Island Institute, again, we went back to them, and part of what we asked them to do in lobbying at the state level is to lobby the insurance people in the state government relative to island regulations and requirements and stuff like that. Because, but 2 reasons. One is it's so expensive to insure out here, and second is some of the building codes and the insurance response to if you don't meet the state code, but you meet local code. So, but that's not a thing that's going to be resolved very quickly. So, we think we can probably do the duplexes cheaper than the ones that was just finished. And so we're working with a builder on, you know, on costs right now. So IAP will see that pretty shortly. And the goal of this meeting that I'm going to tomorrow is to kick that off immediately in terms of, you know, putting the program together and starting the fundraising for it. So,
I'm curious about what you shared around the main housing resources, because you said 5 to 15 units. So does that need to be within 1 building envelope?
no, but it has to, it's called the Rural Rental Program.
Mhm.
And it's 5 to 15, it has to be 5 to 15 units. And I heard back yesterday, originally I heard it had to be in 1 building. Nick Batista from Island Institute came back yesterday and said, no, they said it does not all need to be in the same building, but it needs to be in the same plot of land.
And so our 6 acres isn't considered the same plot of land?
No. And it all has to be so from an IAP point of view, then there's not enough money to start a 6 building.
Got it. So you
Program.
couldn't do, you'd have
So-
to develop all of them.
Right, you have to come with a plan that says, I'm building 6 or 12 housing units. And here's my plan, and I'm gonna do it, and it's got a time horizon that's fairly short. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's not a long term.
And that money still has, affordable, income
It is,
limits.
yes.
I mean,
Yeah. But I think
It's mostly
low
absolute
income.
low income, affordable housing, yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, you have to meet the 80 to 120% of median
which,
income in your area, which is for us is Waldo County.
and everybody that we were talking about in terms of the rents that we would set would fit in the survey would fall into that, like in terms of 80% of Waldo County AMI.
Yeah. So part of the issue that we found with the last group is that there was a fair number of people who applied for housing, but did not have the income, the documented income to afford the housing. So any
They
landlord,
couldn't document the minimum
Right.
amount.
although I will tell you in conversations I had that people were paying almost equal rents today wherever they were living on the
Right.
island. So, and I mean, so it's really an issue of how do you get around the whole income documentation thing. So if you brought their income into main housing, which you're required to do. So on every accepted applicant, you have to bring in income data to main housing as they go through their closing process. And so if you're gonna charge somebody, let's just, I'll make a number, $1,000 a month. And the person only makes $15,000 a year of reportable income. Well, main housing wouldn't accept that, let alone as a landlord, would you accept it? So,
And did you have any applicants that made more money that put them out of the?
no, we had one that was on the cusp, but squeaked in, and, you know,
Could document
we documented it, and when we went through the closing, main housing approved, but they did comment on the fact that it was by the skin of your teeth kind of thing.
Okay.
So again, I'm hoping that tomorrow, from an IAP point of view, that we can kick something off and get something going pretty quickly. We've got a builder who's got his equipment here, and I'd like to engage him again before he takes his equipment off the island. So, we'll see. Other than that, I won't have anything until after this meeting tomorrow.
So, Michael, do you have an update on when we would have a plan of those perspective units and rendering or something else that we could use to fundraise, promote the idea?
I've got something that I'm giving them tomorrow. It's not pretty. I won't call it unprofessional, but it is not a professionally done, set of drawings and specs. But, I got from Tom where some of the town center maps were done. And I mean, they're not cheap. And since I know that a plan that we've got is not going to be the final plan, I don't want to spend that kind of money. And only to have to be redone in another 30 to 45 days. So for internal purposes, I think what we've got with a raw plan and a raw outline of how we would use the land, it's fine. And if we get the go ahead on that, yeah, I think we'll go and spend the money and lay it out, in a builder's acceptable spec.
And how much money is that?
All depends on who you get to do it. I mean, I would be looking for somebody who's willing to donate time and pay for, out of some other out-of-pocket costs, but we haven't gotten to the point of actually talking to anybody yet. These things were, I don't know, they were a couple of $1,000, but
Well, I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah,
Janet did it.
and that was from Steve Blatt's office.
Yeah.
Carrie, do you remember, did we talk to somebody else about trying to make those maps? I thought there was some other source we investigated, but I couldn't remember it.
I think Dave ultimately arranged for it to be done, and I don't remember.
Yeah. Let's see if we can find the number.
Yeah,
But part of what we want to do on that plan is clearly more. I mean, I wanted the map in order to be able to show somebody how it was going to go, but when you get down to putting the plan together, you really want to build a spec. And so if we have this builder that we could probably get somebody that will do the kind of spec, because I want to lay out the road. Was my goal on that would be to have, the town take over the road rather than it being a private road that
Mhm.
IAP is responsible for, because that's a big issue today. So,
Yeah, that needs to happen.
yeah, and so, we're looking at the whole Megillah when it comes to that, because, you've got to put in culverts and drainage and all that kind of stuff. And we realize that needs to be done.
But
It doesn't make any difference how
Right,
wide the
but
road.
that has evolved. When you have one or two houses, it's one thing, but when you've got 6 or 8
Right.
houses, yes, it needs to be a
Well,
town
Yeah,
road.
I mean,
Actually, it was the same problem with the houses IAP already built. They did not build the road according to the town requirements, and there's a contention about who actually plows the road or maintains it that's there. So, but Michael, there is a distinction be drawn, and I'm not trying to tell you I know more than you do. I don't. I apologize if I sound like I do, but in terms of marketing this development, in terms of going to people and raising money, we're not talking about contractors' specs. We're talking about a picture that you show somebody which says this is the sort of
and
thing you want to build, and it's pretty and it's feasible. And I am absolutely aware of what you've said all along, that we don't want to go half baked in with a plan that then has to be redone. But I think it is really important that you distinguish, and
well,
IAP
okay,
distinguishes.
Peter, I gotta cut you off.
If I might
No,
finish,
I'm gonna
if I
cut you
might
off.
finish.
I'm gonna say, I have a meeting tomorrow with the people who are responsible to do that, and I'm not gonna sit here and let the housing committee tell an independent organization how they should do their work.
And nobody, not least of which me, is trying to say that. I am merely expressing a personal opinion that in terms of fundraising for this effort, that we're talking about probably a slightly different presentation than one that can be that a contractor can build from.
Okay,
And I'm not on a soapbox here. We're all on the same team here. We're all on the same page. I'm not trying to tell you how to do your job or tell IIP what they should be doing. I'm merely saying that I feel confident that there is a bunch of people on Islesboro who would be delighted to make substantial charitable contributions if they had some idea of what they were contributing to. And that's
okay,
independent of
I heard you.
what can be done, how much it costs or anything else. It's a picture. Speaks 1,000 words.
Okay, all right, next item is visitor comments. We have one visitor. Any comments? Nope, okay.
May I say one more thing, Michael, if you will allow me? I don't know whether I'm a visitor or whatever, but I have arranged now for a date in August, probably August 9th, for a panel of some number of people, possibly representatives of IAP or this committee or somebody else, to make a presentation to the Islesboro Forum on what affordable housing. It is merely that at the moment. The agenda hasn't been set. I have merely arranged for a particular Sunday afternoon to be devoted to a presentation on affordable housing to the community. And I am soliciting all of your input, suggestions, support, maybe leadership in how to organize this to acquaint other people in Islesboro, especially people who are only here seasonally, the whole issue of affordable housing and how important that is to the sustainable future of Islesboro.
Good.
I think that's a great idea, and I'm sure we will do whatever is necessary to support that idea.
Right.
What's the date of that?
I think it's going to be the 9th of August. It's either the 9th or the 16th, and there's another program that is just getting resolved, but it'll probably be Sunday, the 9th of August.
Right, again, I think that's a great idea. All right, what we need to do now is set our next meeting date.
You invited Daniel to speak.
And he said,
Oh, you
no
said no.
thanks.
Sorry.
He
I
gave
missed
me-
the no, thank
he
you.
gave me one of these, are you kidding? So, next meeting. Um,
Are you still looking to do monthly?
yeah, I think so at this point.
Okay. May 7th?
That looks okay to me.
I will be out of town that day.
Okay. How long are you gonna go?
I'll be gone the 7th through the 9th.
All right, so the 14th,
Or sorry, the 6th through the 8th.
no,
Sea level rise is at 4:30 that day, so you could maybe do it later.
Lindsay, do you know which day is the spring concert? I feel like it's that week.
It is the 12th at 5:30.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Today, the Sea Level Rise Committee was willing to meet in the morning to allow this meeting to take place this afternoon. I feel like we could probably do that again next time, if that's helpful.
I think it's their preference to have the 4:30 time slot, which is why they wrote themselves in before the housing committee could.
all right, is there anything that you said you weren't available 7, 8, and 9, right?
The 6th through the 8th,
Six.
I'm gone, but if we did it, could we just do it a little bit later on the 14th? Like do it at 5:30 or do it at 6?
How long is the CMRS meeting?
Probably an hour, I don't know.
I'm okay with 5:30 if you guys are.
I'm okay. I prefer 5, but.
Yeah.
We
I mean-
do 5:30.
Okay, so
I don't know,
14th at 5:30.
it might be wise to give a little bit of like a buffer,
Yeah,
like
kinda
a half
hard.
an hour.
Yeah,
kick them out and move in, right?
Yeah,
before
so
we're
it would have to be scheduled for 6 o'clock would be my recommendation.
done. Some other day around there doesn't give us a 5 o'clock opening.
We could do Tuesday, May 5th,
okay, that work for you?
or
Fine.
later in the month, like Thursday, the 21st.
May 5th, Lindsay, Peter,
Fine.
Wide open.
okay, May 5th,
I'll do my best.
okay,
I don't know if I need to leave, I may need to leave the night before in order to get down to my flight.
all right.
Cinco de Mayo.
5,
Okay.
5 at 5.
5 at 5. Sounds good.
Sounds easy to remember.
Okay, so we've done that. Anything else? All right, so I hear a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
Second. Lindsay,
Oh, no, it was in a
Aye.
second. Aye.
aye, Tom,
Kate,
Kate,
Aye.
okay, we are so adjourned. Thank you.
thank you, Mike.